Jimmy, are you ready?
No. Merlon stopped by and he tells me he's got an engine solution for our sandrail project.
So Jimmy's struggles have reached the hearts of the people who give Volkswagen parts.
Yes.
So Joe,
Okay.
I met this guy Joe at the metal shop down here, I don't know, a few months ago. He's a viewer of both channels.
Okay.
And super nice guy, retired fireman. He saw your engine struggles and he reached out and he goes, you know, I have tons of Volkswagen parts I'm not going to use. Come over and make a deal on them. So
right.
I went over and looked at them, but I haven't been feeling good to go back over there. So
all right, we're gonna go.
We need to go talk
check it
to
out.
Joe and see what he's got.
All right.
But he's an interesting character. That's all I got to say.
All right, cool. We'll go check him out.
Jimmy, Joe, Jimmy.
Hi, Joe. Yeah. Yeah, I saw your video on that on your Mazzone.
Oh, right on.
And light bulb click. I said, well, hell, I've got all those parts that you guys need because it's from that era, from the car I had.
Oh, that's so
and I
cool.
haven't been out in 20 years.
Okay.
And so I got a hold of Merlon.
When was the last time you went to the sand dunes?
1920.
1920.
No.
19 something?
Yeah. No.
Were you out? Have you been out since 2020? Or was it pre-2020?
2020, right around 2020, somewhere in that area, you know, but I don't know. We started, I'd been doing it for 20 years, you know. Well, actually longer than that, since when I had that, going out in that hill climb car over, and I was probably about 10 years old.
Wow.
And went to Pismo.
Yeah.
And my uncle took me out there, and he had a buddy who had a hill climb car, single seat. And you want to go for a ride? I said, yeah. So we got in that, and I was hooked.
Yeah.
Went up the
awesome.
hill.
You know, it's
competition hill, and that was it. So
Right.
4 sand rails later,
Wow.
you know, and
yeah, 4 sand rails later and
a bunch of other stuff. But
family life, life history. What are you working on?
changing up the manifold, putting dual quads in it.
Oh yeah.
I had the fuel injection up there, the Hillborn,
Oh, nice.
but the problem with it is that it's electronic fuel injection,
Okay.
computer. But Hillborn sold out to Holly, and you can't buy the parts.
Okay.
You can only buy big block parts. They don't make the small block parts anymore. So I ended up, well, okay. And then you have a few little issues with it. I had it in there since 2017. And finally I said, you know what, and I know you could take it over to Brian.
Yeah.
And he could tune them up, but it's like, I'm just gonna go back to carburetors, you know?
Right.
And it's simple. I can tune carburetors,
Yep.
not a problem. So I'm gonna put a set of,
You know how to respond when it requests something different.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. You don't have to mess around with sensors and all
Right.
that stuff and
Right.
computer chips. So, but yeah, no, that's what I'm doing, messing around with that.
This is pretty cool. I'm jealous.
I was gonna say, so
I wanna be-
organized.
I
I love
wanna be
I
a-
love the stands.
I
That's
want to
so-
be a retired fireman.
I know, right? when you grow up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I still haven't. I still play with toys.
I know, right?
You know, it's one of those things. So.
I love how like your lift is bolted to the ground, which I never see.
Oh yeah.
I love how your wheels are chalked. You have everything done right.
Yeah.
We're not gonna find you under a lift one day.
Well, mine like that's why I'm talking about. If I forget the car, I can see the car going off the end.
And they do. Oh, they do.
Oh yeah, they
No,
do. People
do.
forget. You
Yeah.
know, so.
Yeah. Well,
We read stories about that all the time.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So.
yeah, pretty neat. What's with all this machine stuff?
Well, my buddy, my buddy JR, he lives in town. We were firemen together, known each other for, God, going on, it's 47 years maybe. When I started.
47 years in the fire department?
Well, no, I was in the fire department 33, 34.
Okay.
But he was on when I started.
Okay.
And he was a machinist before he became a fireman. So I knew him forever. And he lives up here in Havasu. And so I'm always working on cars, and I'd always go to him, hey, can you machine this, can you machine that? And he told me, why don't you learn how to do it? He goes, I'm not gonna be here forever. So okay, well teach me. So I had the mill and the little mill over there in the lathe, and it's small stuff I do.
Right.
So he goes, I'll teach you, but you're gonna do it my way, the old school way. You're not gonna do it with digital stuff. He goes, you're going to use the old veneer calipers and all that stuff. So, all right.
Right on.
So I bought some tools, and they were nice. They were off of eBay, but they were nice old tools, clean. And they've got a bunch of them in that box. And I said, well, I can't just throw those in my toolbox, because if I do that, they're going to get all, they're going to get all dinged up. And
so that's what got you into putting these really nice boxes together.
Yeah, it kind of grew from one thing to another. Oops, one I'm stuck here. So it's got all the different, micrometers, all this. I got kind of hooked on buying it. So I bought a box from me off of eBay.
That's an illness, Joe.
Oh, I know. Tell me about it. Well, the boxes are a sickness too. Everything's a sickness. I bought this box, and it wasn't in this condition. You get them, they're beat. They're beat up. So I took this and I restored it, sanded it all down, refinished it, did all the stuff I had to do to it. And when I was done with it, I said, man, that's kind of neat. I'm gonna do another one. So I kind of went from that to doing different ones.
Right.
And researched it, and the company Gerstner goes back to the 1900s, early 1900s.
Wow.
And they're still around, they're in Ohio.
Wow.
And so I started looking up other boxes, and you'll see out there I got a collection of them. And I just started collecting and refinishing them because it was fun, something to do.
Right.
And then I found that one is the oldest.
The one up
that one up there is, when I bought it, if you had seen it, you'd have said, oh man, it's like, you really bought it? You spent money. I think I paid $80 for it. Well, it turns out that it's a test case. The company, Gerstner, would send them out to different, here, you test this one, tell me what you think. So it was product. It was a product test.
Okay.
And then they review it and they come back and the company refined what they had, and that's how that went out there. But I found it.
Is that wrapped in leather? Is that what that
It's
is?
called leatherette. Yeah.
Oh wow.
But when I got it, the door was just a piece of plywood, 1/8 inch veneer.
Okay.
And that little lock, I don't know if you can see the brass piece.
Yeah.
I had to find that.
Oh wow.
And then restore the door.
Everything.
Oh,
I had to
wow.
restore the door. I had to restore everything. The mirror. I had to make the mirror because they all have mirrors on them. All these cases have mirrors on them. The metal, the wool ones or the wood ones.
Is that so you can look pretty at work?
That's exactly it. Everybody says, why do they have mirrors? Well, because the guys would do machining, they rub their face, they get grease on them,
Right.
and they didn't want to go home with grease, so they don't wash their hands. So that's why they had mirrors in them.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's
not
kind
know
of stuff.
That's pretty cool. I like the little tags on them.
Yeah, they all have. Most of them have it. Some of them don't.
Really
When you take the drawer out, you pull it. There's a number underneath them, and then you get.
So this pulls out, folds up, and locks. And
Right, this pulls
pins
out.
that come down and lock.
Yeah,
back.
pulls out like that, flips up,
Oh wow.
and then whoop, no, it's steel here. But anyway, it would go in there and then
those
close down.
pins lock
Pins
in
lock
there.
it in there. Yeah. But just the things that were get in there that really were like this gauge. I mean, I like old stuff, vintage, antique stuff. This is an old gauge, but look at the finish on it.
Wow.
Look at the
Oh yeah.
the bluing on it. It just, and it's still good. This is an old gauge. It's not.
It's older than all of us.
Yeah, it's just things like that I'm interested in, and I like to keep them, restore them and stuff.
Sure.
And I use some of this stuff. I use it. It's not like it just goes to waste. Some of it, my wife always says, well, "What are you gonna do with that?" I said, "I don't know, but when I need it, I'll have it. I don't have to go borrow it."
That's right.
It's that old saying, Jimmy. Better to
right.
have it, not need it. Need it, not have it.
Yeah.
So your machinist friend that turned you on to doing your own machine work got you collecting machine tools, which turned into buying these boxes, which turned into restoring these boxes, which is now another illness. Because what did you have? 25 boxes in the cases up front?
Probably. There's so many boxes. I mean, they're different numbers. That's why there were different sizes, different numbers, different types. They're like these big ones were journeymen, and then they had apprentice boxes.
Oh, no kidding.
They had
Okay,
different
sure.
sizes.
Wow.
And there's even a dental box out there because the dentists used to use
really?
them. They used to use them. And what happened is, I think it's the dental, not the AMA, but whoever the dental association is. They decided that wood, which it does, collects germs and you can't clean them.
Okay.
So they made them go to metal boxes.
Oh.
So anyway, he taught me how to machine. He showed me what to do. I could kill him. We went out to breakfast one day, And he had this paper written down with all these numbers. And he goes, I want you to do this, build it. It's a hammer, but I want you to follow this stuff. I'm like, okay.
That was your
my project.
That was your project.
My apprentice
We're
project.
gonna make a hammer.
Apprentice, yeah.
So I made a hammer. Here's my hammer.
Oh, this is funny.
And I use it.
Of course, he still has it.
But this was a piece of rusted steel, and that was just a round bar. And I machined it, knurled it.
That's funny.
But he had it down to, I want it to be a press fit. I
Right.
want you to be able to adapt it. He
Right.
had me doing everything.
Sure. Oh yeah. That's
But,
beautiful.
you know, I call him Pops because he teaches me things.
Right.
And I kind of go with him. So, but yeah,
Yeah, he teaches you the hard way. He's like, you're gonna do it.
oh yeah, you're gonna learn it the hard way. You're not gonna learn it the easy way.
I
Right.
like that.
And we fight like cats and dogs, but we have a good time.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so this is a little museum. They got all the stuff that I remember growing up. You know, like that's all my dad's stuff, the body and fender,
Okay.
the hammers and files. He was an old time body and fender guy with lead.
Right.
So your dad was a lead slinger.
He was a lead slinger, and he did it right. He was amazing, the stuff he'd do. And so I kind of learned stuff from him, from different places. I never went to school for any of this stuff.
Right.
It was
So you grew up kind of working in his body shop.
No, he did. He worked for dealerships.
Okay.
He had Felix. I don't know, California Felix Chevrolet when I was there. He worked at a lot of them.
Okay.
And it was just different body shops, and that's what he did. And
Interesting.
I'd do it at home. He'd do stuff, and he'd show me. And
Yeah, that was a different time back then.
that's why I think part of the vintage stuff that I like is because that's when craftsmen the guys who build these boxes were craftsmen.
Right.
Guys that did these tools, Starrett, those guys are craftsmen. They did things the right way, I guess.
When I was walking in here, I noticed like a fire alarm down here. What can you say about it?
Well, of course, being a fireman, I think you're.
Yeah, he was telling me about that. My dad was a fireman.
Oh, really?
My uncle was a fireman.
Okay.
My brother's a fireman.
well.
And growing up, we would go to the firehouse and run around all the fire apparatus.
I was a fireman. Started in '76, back in the good days. I'm
Okay,
sure your
yeah.
dad will say
Absolutely.
that was the time to be a fireman because it was a change. They went from the old,
Yes.
transition from the old to new. I started. Paramedics had just started,
Okay.
but we didn't have computers. You didn't have 911.
Right.
The captains would type the daily on a typewriter, and then they would handwrite everything in a ledger. What call,
Right.
and so back in the day, that's how they did stuff. And then we started progressing. We had, when I started, I don't think I have a picture, but it was like a canvas turnout coat. The jacket, that's all Nomex.
Okay.
But the canvas ones, there was canvas, and then they had a corduroy collar.
Okay.
You wore a helmet, you wore your blue cotton pants, and then the shoes were like they used to call them chukka boots. They were up to your ankle. Nothing wasn't real safety
Right.
wise. And that's how you go and fight a fire.
Wow.
It was just, if you wore an air bottle, the older guys, I call them the World War II guys, they look at you like you're a sissy. I'm not kidding. We used to go to fire.
Wearing a bottle?
Wearing your air bottle to breathe. It's like, hey, you're going to save your life, dummies. But they were, I'd seen them where they would sit there and they had their coat unbuttoned they used to wear those soft caps. They wouldn't wear a helmet.
Wow.
They'd sit there and they'd smoke a cigarette, put water directing you. That's just the old way. But obviously, thank goodness things progressed to the modern.
Right.
And I was able to go through that stage of stuff. So I've seen the old and I've seen the new.
Transition. Yeah.
So I've never seen one of these. What is this?
This is a pool box. In a lot of the cities, the big cities, have them before 911.
Okay.
Like Los Angeles, Chicago, New York. They might still have some. I don't know. But what would happen is if you're walking down the street, and you see a fire, somebody come in and it just tells you right there, pull the handle. You pull this down, and you pull that lever, and that light would go on. And like this is box 398. Okay. In the fire station, they had these wheels with tape, and they had a bell. And they had a chart or a sheet, and it would say for that district, it would say box 398, and it would give you the box 398 location would be Acoma and McCullough. It would be
Right.
on the corner.
general.
And so they know where to go. That was their version of a
Wow.
911. That's where they told them how to go. And what had happened, I don't know if, I don't even know if
And this was only for fire.
fire. This was in the station, this part.
Okay.
And this part was on the street. So I don't know if it's going to go off or not. It might. So what it's going to do, maybe it'll start going up here, hopefully. Should. It sends a signal to this.
Well, it's faster than 911 already.
Well,
At least
normally it goes. It's add something in the wire. There you go. So it's going to click out 398. You see where it says 3 or 389? That's not what the number is. Yeah, 398. So it'll punch 398. And normally the bell, but I have the bell off because it's just too loud. But that'll ring out the same tone also. And so if the guys are asleep, they hear the bell. Okay, 398. And they come down here, and the captain or whoever looks at us. It's 398. It's on this corner of the street. And that was how they got calls. And now the call may not be at that exact spot, but if it's a fire, you're going to see the smoke. And
Right.
That's how they did it.
That is too cool.
So it's within a general area.
It's within
That's
a general
interesting.
area, yeah. They usually had them on the corners and stuff, you know. Like I said, I would imagine they pulled them out because that's not ringing. Because they, like they went to 911. You know, like I said, back in the day they didn't have that. So.
Right. That's pretty cool. It's pretty cool that you hooked it all up.
Yeah.
And it actually functions.
Yeah, it clicks
like
off the
that.
tape. Yeah, it's
That is
kind of
amazing.
So then this box would have been 35.
box 35. And this one you break the glass. I don't want to mess with that one, but you break the glass, you turn it, and then it's the same principle, you know. But like these I bought and I restored them. They didn't come like this.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
You fixed them
You
up.
had to
That's
restore them. And
amazing.
that's just another one of those things that you do.
so
you know.
cool.
You
I
went
put a
in.
light on it, so that's another one that would have. Some had lights, some didn't. You know, the light, so they could tell them at night where it's at. That's the box. You know.
Yeah, so when they showed up, that light was still going off.
Yeah.
Because the firemen would reset this when they
Firemen would come back. Yeah, that was the box. Yeah, they'd send somebody back, the captain, the engineer,
Yeah,
whatever.
this
He'd
key
go
wasn't
back.
in, obviously. So the firemen had the key.
They have the key. This is the key. It's universal.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Okay, so they would come in, they'd open the box,
And then
they'd pull that in,
reset
they'd open that up,
Holy cow.
and then they crank this up. They whoops, wrong way.
Turn the timer up. 'cause
They
it
turn the
was
timer,
on.
and they'd set that. And once it's all set, then they close everything back up, like that, and
Lock up. And
lock it up. Take the key with them. I just leave it in there.
How awesome.
911 is reset.
That's the primitive 911. But they were around in the 70s.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they were still around. But a lot of
when did 911
well, now you're
come
gonna
in?
trick me.
Yeah, I want to date you, Joe.
It had to be in the 80s, early 80s.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, somewhere in there. Because like I said, when I started, they didn't have computers.
Right.
They didn't have 911. They used typewriters. A lot of the stuff was just old. It looks like a telephone was an old radio. That's what you kept on the engine. And this is what they talked. They carry.
Check that out.
You know, they'd sit out here. It had an antenna,
Right.
of course. And they had the phone. I can't get this thing out now. It's on there, but
Motorola.
yeah, sit there and that's how they talk to the dispatcher.
Wow. Interesting.
The dispatch center the city I'm in now, or city I work for now, the original dispatch center was at one of our stations, and it had a switchboard,
Oh wow.
and they had a room where the dispatcher stayed, and they'd sleep there, and they'd get out and you call, you plug in the switchboard, and they'd ring you out. That was our old alarm of the station. It was a simple gong, a little bell, and it was it would just click, ding, ding, ding. Similar to this, where it's so many dinks meant an engine. Yeah,
something.
and that would tell you the lights would come on, and then you'd hear the voice. They talk to you.
Right.
Now they have the lights come. My son's a fireman. He's a captain now, and at the same department. But now when the lights come on, they're slowly come on. Before, which would be like.
Right.
You're dead sleeping. Wake up.
It was like a cattle prod. There's a fire.
Yeah, no. Now the lights come on real lightly, and
That's
the
'cause
tone. It's a
They're
girl.
all politically correct.
Right.
Oh, well, wait, there's another one. When I started, if you look, the badges also, they'll tell you your rank. It said firefighter.
Yeah.
Okay.
When I started, you were a fireman. My badge said fireman.
Right.
Okay.
And I don't know, again, early 80s, give me your badge, and they give you one that says firefighter. They took all the fireman badges
wow.
away. because it had to be politically correct.
Wow.
Everybody's a firefighter now. You're not a fireman, you're a firefighter.
Wow. Interesting.
But, oh yeah, it's
yeah, that's got to be crazy to go through all that evolution.
Oh yeah, it was fun. I mean,
changes.
there's I like being a fireman. Squirting water, doing that stuff, and then on the ladder truck, I was a tillerman.
Okay.
So you get to drive the back.
That's awesome.
That was that was fun.
That would be
If I was going to be a firefighter,
Sign
that's
me
the
up.
only reason I would be a firefighter.
To drive the back.
The back,
of that
that's
truck.
right.
That was fun. You could make that thing go sideways. There's so many things. You could do a U-turn in the center of the street on an intersection, no problem. It would outdo an engine. Just that.
Right.
Just
That's
that maneuverable.
Yeah, there's some pretty amazing pictures of some of the stuff you've done. Obviously.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, there's highs and lows of
Well,
the fire department.
oh yeah.
What's some of the high points of your career?
High points, well, like all these equipment, being one of the guys that spec'd them out. A buddy of mine, he used to go sand duning together. Frank, he was a captain, and him and I, we used to be yellow. You can see that yellow color?
Yeah, I see that.
Well, we got him to go to red. Traditional.
Interesting.
And all these trucks, this one came out of Denver. Loveland, Colorado? Excuse me. And then these E1s came out of Florida. That came out of Florida, and that one came, the trailer, the ladder, came out of Pennsylvania. And it was two companies, talk about a battle. They don't want to talk to each other because they don't want to give their trade secrets.
Right.
We were able to make E1, which is a Florida manufacturer, build the tractor to match the engines, and then LTI to build the ladder.
Oh my, interesting.
And when we built that, like LA City had, I don't know if you can see that old aerial up there, that one with the ladder sticking up. Okay, well that was an American LaFrance, and then they had Seagrave.
Right.
They were very flimsy. When we saw how they were built, it's like, oh man, I wouldn't want to climb it because it's just sheet metal, or rolls of sheet metal that are stamped, and then they're welded. Nothing is solid. Well, the LTI ladders are solid beam frame. They're just channel.
Yeah.
So when we got that truck and put it in, the guys from LA said, yeah, you got one of those cranes. Well, guess what they're all driving now? They're driving the crane. They're all in the cranes.
Right.
And then we just did things that were different. We did like the polished aluminum wheels.
Right.
Most of the wheels were just painted. They were either painted red,
Right.
So we went with polished wheels, and it seemed like a trend that kind of.
Yeah, it set you apart, and
it's kind of an ironic thing right now because this just happened last week here in Bullhead City. They lost 5 kids.
Oh yeah.
Well, 36 years ago next month, 35 years now, it'll be 36 next month, it'll be 36, or excuse me, in January next year, will be 36 years that I had the exact same thing. We had God, hope I don't get emotional.
So you guys rolled on something very similar.
We got a call that fire happened at 4 in the afternoon. We got a call about 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. It was in 1983. And I remember that call, if to the day I die, I'll remember that call, what happened, the name of the one victim I had, and exactly what happened. And the dispatcher came back over the air saying all units responding. We have PD is on scene, reporting a fully involved structure with persons trapped. So right away your adrenaline just kicks in.
Right.
So we got there, we pulled up, and it was 4 of us, the engineer, the captain, and myself and the other fireman. And the other fireman, the captain told him, take a line to the side, because this thing was just blowing out all the windows, fire. And he said, put a line down the side, keep the other houses from catching fire. And I remember pulling my line. I remember laying on the ground because the smoke level was down to here. So we went to the front door, got in about 3 or 4 feet, and just started knocking down the fire. And my peripheral vision, I could see there was a hallway off to my right. I could see guys going in. And it's like, what are they doing? They kept going in, coming out, going in, coming out. And I didn't know at the time what was going on. So we knocked the fire out, and I remember going out to change my air bottle. And I went out, and we had a stack of bottles, and next to them, and remember, we only had 4 paramedics at the time, because we had 2 paramedic units. And that's the days when not everybody, like here, everybody's a paramedic, and most departments are all paramedics. So we had 4 paramedics. One of them was on the radio. One of them was assessing, there was 5 kids, total of 7, but there was 5 of them. The guys had brought out, and I was changing my bottle, and they were kind of laying there, and I had all these stacks of bottles. And the battalion chief was behind me, and he says, "There's one more in there." So I went in. I went to the front door, and then still smoky. You couldn't see very good. It wasn't as bad as when we first got there. And I went in, and I did you do a clockwise search. You go all the way around, and when you find furniture, whether it's a couch, a dresser, a chair, whatever, you move it. You check it and you move it. So that way somebody knows it's been done. The first thing I hit was a bed. So I swept the top, nothing on it. And then I moved it away from the wall, and I started feeling in between. That's why I felt this leg. It was a girl, took her outside. Well, when I laid her down, they were all unconscious. They were dead, bottom line. At the time we didn't know, but we're gonna do everything we can to save them. So, whew. Give me a second. So anyway, the other guys were working on the other patients. They were little kids. The smallest was 1 year old. That one, he was alive because they got him out with a mom. And you still had the mom and dad that had smoke inhalation. You had one, Kevin was on the radio. I don't know who the other medic was. He was treating, you can't treat, 5 or 6 patients. So he was treating one patient. The 2 guys that were going in were paramedics. They pulled them out. They were treating the patients, but we still had this others. I helped try to resuscitate this girl because I wasn't going to let her die. Unfortunately, they all did, except for the 1 year old. And that was the worst call I've ever been on. And I can remember like it happened yesterday. And that was 36 years ago. So I can empathize with those guys in Bullhead City because I know what they're going through. I know what they're going to go through. It's just, you do everything you can. You got all equipment. I don't care how much money you throw at it, how much equipment you have, the best. We had the best. We had everything. Training.
Yeah, sometimes.
When the big guy wants you.
Sometimes the odds are stacked.
It just go, and that's just what happened. And that's what happened on this thing. There's nothing that those guys, I guarantee you, they tried everything. Oh, yeah. There's people that are bad-mouthing them.
Oh, no.
And they're going to have that.
Yeah, but they've never been in that situation.
They've never been in that situation. No, I can honestly say that those guys, they did everything they can for those kids.
Right. Yeah, that's the one thing I've noticed that firemen do. That's why the firemen are really like heroes, because they really don't give up.
Yeah.
They don't even realize their own life's danger.
Yeah.
Putting themselves into going into a burning house to pull out 5 children that are dying.
Yeah. Right. Kids are the worst. They're the best and the worst. I've been through deliveries. We delivered kids, and those are good. Those are high points. I can remember another kid that the mom was a crack addict, and she just delivered a kid in a junky warehouse thing, dirty and everything. And the umbilical cord was still attached. And we got the kid. It was a little girl, I think. And I remember because I was the engineer, I got off their truck and the captain and the medics were getting all their gear. So I went in, so I grabbed the kid. Well, she was blue. So I started, just blowing on her mouth, trying to get her back. And we did, brought her back and got her to the hospital. And she lived, I got in trouble for it. Captain says, "Why? Next time you do that, because you don't know what she has."
Right.
But it's like, hey, it's a kid. I'm not going to let.
It's life.
It's life. Yeah. And those are the good points. Those are the good ones. The bad one, like I said, was that you see them all. Yeah. Just like your dad and your brothers, you see everything. What people see on the news, we live. We do it. Right. They don't see the initial, they see the after effect.
Right. Yeah, but the thing is, here you are 37 years later still carrying this around.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's why I do what I do. I do boxes and build helicopters and work on cars, and it keeps your mind off of that. One of the 3 guys, well, all the guys that were there, but there's 3 of us that got the Medal of Valor for that call on those kids. I was one, and then 2 other guys, Steve, I'm not going to say his name, and Mark. And one of those guys, it affected him bad. Bad. I get emotional 30-something years later. He got really bad. Yeah. I can remember going home, and I can remember, normally I did calls and bug me. I teared up going home. I was crying.
Oh, yeah.
And then I think when my kids were about the same age in that area, 4, 6, 8, 9 years old, something like that. And I can remember going and giving them a hug. I remember telling them, if there's ever a fire here, you're not going to get in trouble. Take a chair and break a window and get out.
Yeah.
Get out the window. Just, practice, do what they teach you in school, stop, drop, and roll and all that stuff. You do things to get it out of your mind. And I do cars, helicopters, boxes.
Do you have any pictures of your sand buggy from back in the day?
Yeah, up here. It was in a magazine.
Oh, really?
It was on the cover of Hot VW.
Hot VW magazine.
Yeah.
It was actually on the cover?
Oh, that's it.
That's on the cover right there.
Blurred vision.
My buddy and I were up there.
Who's this young guy?
Really, we were in Glamis, and I don't know how we ran into Michael Summers was the editor of Hot VWs, and he happened to be there. I think I don't know. He was taking pictures because they did the October Sand Special.
October 1996.
Yeah, 96. And he, hey, you guys want to take some pictures? We take a picture of your car? Yeah. So we ran around, did stuff. He took pictures. He asked us questions. And he sent us a sheet you have to fill out, spec sheet.
Right.
We did all that. And next thing you know, he said, hey, your car's going to be on the magazine. Well, my buddy his car was similar. Same chassis, but different color, obviously. A little bit longer. I got on Hot VWs and he got on what magazine? He got on another magazine. He wasn't happy about it. he was mad.
Yeah, to be on Hot V-Dubs in the 90s, that was a cool thing. That's a nice car.
Yeah, it was a great car. I had, like I said, I've had 4. That was my last car.
That's beautiful.
And it was changed up. There's a lot of things on this one. I changed the motor. At this time, it had a 1915 cc motor, and the wheels were different on this. Obviously, you can see they're a little bit different. I took
Steering wheel's on top of the frame.
I built a different motor. I built a 2276 because we were in competition with everybody. And he had a guy that would build his motor. So I built the 2276, changed the transmission out, and changed the wheels, and did some things to it. And we used to race around up there. Oh, we had fun.
That's awesome. That's amazing stories and stuff. Thanks for sharing.
Sure, yeah.
That's always
you're in that fire family.
Oh, yeah.
You know what goes on.
Yep.
It seems like people that know either women that are married to firemen or their family, they know what goes on. They hear the stories.
Right.
And that's pretty much the only outlet you have. You can tell people, but
it's not the same.
It's not the same as somebody knowing what,
Right.
Like I said, those guys up there, I know what they're going through.
Yeah.
I've lived it. I hope they get through it. It's not their fault.
Right.
And I hope people quit blaming them. They did everything right. I guarantee you they did.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't mess up. They're professionals. They know what they're doing.
You can't punish somebody for trying to save somebody's life. There's no right or wrong way
No.
to do it.
Yeah.
You do the best you can. That's what I told those guys. I said, we did the best we can. There's nothing else we could have done.
Hey, guys. As you can see, Joe was an amazing person and quite the character. We really enjoyed spending time over at his shop. And a special thanks to all the firefighters out there. You guys' job is amazing and you do amazing work, and we do appreciate you. And just thanks for watching, and Merry Christmas.